just used to going to bed.
Good
Oh,
evening, good
good
evening,
evening,
and
good evening.
welcome to the
We
Woman
live,
to
we live,
Woman.
we live. I didn't even know we was live.
Yeah, yeah, we are live. We are live. This is the Woman to Woman show on the New U Nation Network. We are excited to have you here tonight with us and to be back. And so here we are on another Monday night. It's two of us tonight, but we're gonna rock and roll through it. Tonight we are going to get into our topic shortly, but first we will do what we normally do, which is introduce ourselves and say what we are grateful for. And so I am Theodora Carter. I am a certified life and career coach and HR consultant. I am the founder and owner of T. Carter Coaching and Consultant, and I am passionate about helping women live intentionally with clarity and courage as they strive to reach the goals that they have set for themselves. And I am grateful, um, one, to be here another Monday night, but I'm grateful for this past weekend. Like you said, Regina, I had an opportunity to just relax and, hang out with some friends and, awesome church service on Sunday. And so I'm just
Amen.
glad to be counted today among the number.
Amen. Amen. Well, good evening. My name is Regina Booker, owner of Seasoned and Fabulous, where help women get kind of unstuck if you're stuck, where there's that fork in the road where at 50 plus you're just coming into, maybe a career change, starting the empty nest syndrome, or just wanting to aspire to your dreams, your passions, or whatever you want to do or God desires for you to do. Living your purpose, purpose driven life, from that book. But basically, that's what it is. And I am grateful for this past weekend was, what was it? Valentine's Day weekend, which I really have not been that type that celebrated. It's nice, it's cute. I liked it more when my parents, growing up, my mom always would, it was Valentine's Day, Easter, all those type of things. 4th of July and stuff, she cooked, she made sure all kind of festival stuff. So that's what I was happy, for. So Valentine's Day to me back then was always with my parents. But I was grateful this weekend. I was able to spend it with my three little heartbeats, which are my grandkids. And
Oh,
I had such a
nice.
great time spending time with them. So it was really, really, so love can happen in many ways. So the love that I got from them this weekend and just being around them was just amazing. So I am
Oh,
grateful that I was able to spend
nice.
time with them.
Yeah, I mean, I'm like you. Like for me, Valentine's Day should be every day, but I do
Yeah.
understand and appreciate how people do extra stuff on
Hmm.
on this one day. But listen, we're here. It's Monday. We're gonna get into this show. It's me and you, so we're gonna hold it down. Gina is off doing whatever she's doing, and Sheila's off doing what she's doing. And so
Absolutely.
I'm putting you on the spot today. And our topic tonight, if you're tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New U Nation Network. And our topic tonight is one that is near and dear to my co-host's heart, right? And it is seasoned and fabulous. And so just I'm gonna just put it out there. It's actually her brand, right?
Mhm.
That is what she champions. That is what she stands for. And so tonight we're just gonna talk about, what it means to be seasoned and fabulous, and how she came to start this journey. And we're gonna give you some tips and trips on how. Listen, just because you in your 50s or your 60s or even your 30s or your 40s for some of
Mhm.
you, right? It is never too late to do the things that you want to do. And so, Gina, so what does Seasoned and Fabulous mean to you?
It basically means what you just said. It's never too late. I've done some seminars, of course, a retreat. I've actually did a talk. So I'm coming to my into my own. But how it started is really back in my early 50s, being in a dance ministry. And at my former church, my home church, which I would call, when I lived in Jersey, my home church, um, we had to minister pretty much every Sunday.
Mm.
And when us in our garments. So this one particular Sunday, we did not have to minister. We would always be happy when we didn't have to minister
Mm.
and dance. So I had on what we call our street clothes. Because either you have your garments or your street clothes in
Yeah.
ministry. At least that's what we talk. And one of the sisters came up to me. She said, "Oh my God, you look so good." Da, 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 da. And I turned around. I said, "Girl, I'm seasoned and fabulous." And that just kind of stuck with me. And then I
Mm.
started researching, started praying about it. I said, "Why did I say that to her?" But not in a bad way, but it just resonated. And then my life just started kind of taking a turn, like how you talked about, well, how I talked about it in my early 50s. It just started taking a change. A change started
Mm.
taking over me. My kids were growing up. They were leaving the house. They actually moved to another state. That's how I got to North Carolina, because
Okay.
they went first. And so after that, and then some things happened in Jersey, losing your job. I lost my
Yeah.
job, and I still wanted to stay in Jersey. And basically they were like, "Mom, why are you there? You don't even have any family there, blah, 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 blah." So my life just started taking a turn. And with
Mm.
every turn, I met it. Don't get me wrong, it was down times, it was highs and lows, but I would take my lows and what I tell people or women when we have our sister circles: take your 15 minutes to cry, but then get up and
Mm.
plan. And so that's what I did. So I would
Okay.
take 15 minutes to cry and say, "Pretty is me," but then I would find a plan and devise a plan to come out of it. And I
Mm.
said, through that, I said, it must be a lot more women like me. I can't be the only one. So through my journey and what I did, and through, everything, therapy, so many ups and downs, relationships, love relationships, worship relationships, everything. But at the
Mhm.
bottom, at the end of the road, you come out on the other side of it. And so my branding is you first have to love yourself again. Then you have to give yourself grace. Then you have to take back your power. And then once you take back your power and figure out where you want to go and what you want to do, then around that, you become seasoned because you went through so much, and then you
Mm.
become fabulous. So
So, if you don't mind, tell the people how old you are and at what point, because you said in your 50s, you
mhm.
started, really recognizing, right, that, you were seasoned and fabulous. But I feel
Mhm.
like it was towards your late 50s, early 60s where you started really building out this brand. And
Oh yeah, definitely. I started really building out the brand once I came to North Carolina. I started with t-shirts. I said, "Oh, I'm just going to do a t-shirt line," and da da da, and but it never came to fruition when I was in Jersey. And then once
mm,
I moved to North Carolina, I started really, and that was kind of my late 50s. And I started really researching it, and well, not researching, doing the work that
yeah.
put towards it. And right now I'm 66, going to be 67 March 22nd. So
And
close,
and
closer to my 70s, getting
yeah,
closer to
and
that.
and last year you became a published
Oh
author.
yeah, I became a publisher, and
Okay.
what, 65, I guess
Yeah.
65 or 66. Um, I started in 65 writing it, and so it released when I turned 66. So
Yeah.
yeah, you can do anything. You can do anything, and I'm about to venture out. I was gonna keep it to myself, but if I put it out there, it's gonna make me do it because I can't put it out there because I have to be accountable. So a few people I told, and so I'm gonna put it out here. I am going to become a coach.
Now you know I'm gonna hold you account.
I know.
you
So
you know
that
I'm
is
about to be like,
something new.
what's your
That is something
intention?
new. And well, that is it. I'm gonna find my niche of where I want to specialize
Okay.
because I took a boot camp and it's called women coaching. No, that's not it. It was all women, but it was called. See, I can't even think of it. Called Coaching LLC, maybe. I don't
Mm.
know, but I'll get it together. But I know it was a boot camp where it was called Women, and it was a it was a master class that they did for a weekend, and then I took the boot camp, and God
Nice.
was really speaking to me. And so, like you, Theodore, where you do your niche where you specialize. And I feel like I need to just specialize. And it's
Mhm.
not just specializing in women, it would be specializing. I'm just going to give an example in women who came out of a hard relationship, da 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 da
Mm.
da. You get that niche of,
Yeah, so like a relate like helping women, heal from,
mhm,
like Trey
of-
Kearney, like,
yeah, like a breakup or
yeah.
whatever it is. So
Mm.
even though I do say season and fabulous and help them, but there's a niche that God is telling
Yeah.
me to go towards. So through
And
that, I will find out
yeah.
what my niche is.
I
And
mean,
it's
I
also a
feel like it's
spiritual. Go ahead.
yeah. I feel like it's connected to your comeback. Like, you know, I didn't know you in Jersey when you lost your job, but I knew you here
Hmm.
when you lost your job. And just the resiliency in you. And I'm sorry to cut you off, but I just wanted to say it while I remembered
Hmm.
the resiliency in you when you lost your job. And it was like you literally, I feel like, practice what you just said earlier. Like, I don't know if you cried or not, but I know it felt like it was 15 minutes. and then you were you were back up. And next thing I know, you were like, oh, I'm gonna be in substitute teaching. I'm going on vacation. I mean, I was like, okay, she just lost her job. She don't went away like twice. She, right? So, so yeah. So talk about like that point that you got to where, because I feel like you didn't second guess yourself.
I didn't. I when I lost my job here in North Carolina, I remember that day like it was, and actually it was a week before my birthday. So, and I just sat there when I got the call, and I was like, huh. And I actually sat and I went, hmm. And I got up and I called a few people. And then I just kind of sat down and went back to my everyday, what I was doing. They said, okay, your computer is going to be logged off.
Oh yeah, we cut your access off.
Yeah, access. I was like, wow. And so, and it wasn't only me.
Yeah.
It was a few other people. It's
Mm-hmm.
about, I would say about 60 of us at that time.
Oh, it was
And
it was a big riff.
I'm
I said that
sorry.
was a big riff. That was a big reduction for 60 people.
Yeah. So because it was from 3 states because we worked,
Oh, okay.
so it was we had, 3 different, our department was in 3 different states. But
Mhm,
I remember this young, I would say she was young. I don't really know
mhm,
how old she was, but I know that she wasn't as old as me. So
mhm.
she was just screaming on the call. I was just like, wow. And I was so calm because she was like, "Oh my God, I'm gonna be," she's like, "You're firing me? You're firing me?" And I'm like, girl, they're not firing you. You they're laying you off. But
Yeah.
but I had to give in, I had to respect where she was coming from.
Yeah.
And in corporate America, as cold as it is, to me, they had no sympathy. This girl was like losing her mind. And there
Mm.
was no comfort in it. It was nothing in it. And I was at a different place. And she just went all the way to, I'm going to be homeless. I was like, wow. But for me, it was like, okay, I'm just going to figure it out because what can I do?
Yeah.
At this point, you could sit there and try to lose your mind. And I'm not going to say it was sad for a
Yeah.
moment. And then I did have a time where, and I had been laid off so much. I don't say I got numb to it, but I was just like, I'm just over this stupid laying off
Mhm.
stuff, So, I mean, one is too many. I think I did two or maybe three. And that's
Mhm.
just too much, just
Yeah.
all of a sudden you have a job and you don't. And that was a point.
Mhm.
And I'm like, I got to do what's best for me. And so I said, I got to start finding my passion. I know what my passion was. And I had to pray about it and ask God, where are you leading me? And what do I
Mhm.
need to do? And I had already booked trips and stuff. I'm like, I'm still going to live and go on my trips because, of course, I had a severance, but I didn't get scared. I trusted God. And
Yeah.
um and I'm not gonna say it was easy. I'm not gonna say, but through wisdom and maturity, growing, and still, therapy and all that. At the time that I got laid off this last time, it was different. I had more confidence in it, and I had confidence in myself.
Mhm.
Um,
Now, is it the same? Like, was your confidence in yourself greater than it was in the past?
Yeah, it was greater because in the past when I did panic like that. Look, I didn't get on the phone and say, I'm gonna be homeless and holler and scream. But probably in my mind I was because I was like,
Mhm.
oh my God, what am I gonna do? Duh, 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 duh. But as everything else, God has control and it worked out. I never was homeless, thank God. I'm not saying I couldn't be, but I
Mhm.
wasn't. I was able to, have a little bit of savings and I had, different things that I had investments and stuff,
Mhm.
so I was okay. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't great. I mean, I couldn't just do it for years, but
Yeah.
I was okay. But at this time, I just trusted God. And like literally, I was worse off this time than I was in the past. But this time, I just had more wisdom, and I just had faith that it was going to bring me through
So
because I was.
talk about the wisdom piece because if and for anyone listening right now, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and which the topic is seasoned and fabulous, the power of becoming.
Mhm,
And the reason why we're talking about this is because there are so many people that um, stall or get stuck because they
mhm,
think that it's too late for them to do something. And here we have Regina, who in her late 50s, early 60s, about to be close to 70, lost her job, went to become a substitute teacher, became a published author, is about to become a coach, right? So, just talking about how, and that's one thing that this network is really about, right? We're here for everybody, but we really do talk a lot from our experiences being Gen X women. And so, yeah, so talk a little bit about what wisdom life taught you. Like,
um, to just pick up and carry on because I went through a divorce, I went through separation, I've been through a single parent,
mm,
um, just so many things along the way. And
mm,
I say God kept me through all of this. So the wisdom is what you learn by every valley that you're in.
mm,
Every valley that you're in, you should learn something. It should not be a woe, it's me. It should be a lesson in that
mm,
valley. And so when you come back to the mountain, you take that lesson and you do more with it, if that makes
okay.
sense. So
Nope,
that's
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 true. Those valley lessons.
hmm and so
Mhm,
that's what happened to me. Like And this last time around, I said, and then corporate America had got on my nerves so bad. I said, I am not.
You were like, I'm done.
Let me just figure out what I'm supposed to do. Because corporate America, they don't care. And like I really felt bad for that young lady that was just, losing her
Mhm.
mind. And all the top leader or whatever she was from another state, how they come on and tell you you're laid off is so
Mhm.
cold. And then they say you lose immediate access to your computer. To
Mm.
me, I mean, I was in a space that I didn't care, but someone else that could have been very devastating to them. Like it's no
Yeah.
care. Like it's like you're just really a number.
I mean, and
You really
there
are.
is a way to do it. I would say that because
Mhm,
I have
mhm,
been the person that has had to have that
mhm,
conversation, and there is a way to say, um, your day is over. We don't really need you to continue working, and you don't
mhm,
really have to announce that the access will be cut off. We just send a note to someone and say do it. But it is. But what's so crazy is I was just having a conversation with someone around identity, right? And
mhm,
how so many of us, and I think we've done the work. So I think
mhm,
we probably are not in that same space, right? Like someone could probably access who we are, and we're not going to give them a title, right? We're not going to
mhm,
give them that. We're gonna speak from a different place of who we are, right? But I literally, was just saying to someone exactly what you just said, right? Where um, we are so connected to the title, the job, right? Like you
mhm,
said, corporate America, right? So that
mhm,
young lady was probably so connected to the title and the position that she had that when
mhm,
it was taken away, she lost it, right? And
mhm,
so I literally had just asked somebody about a week ago, because one of the things I ask all my clients is we do this identity thing. I'm like, who are you? And
mhm,
this wasn't a client, this was just someone I was talking to. And I was like, people get so caught up in these jobs, right? Are in these positions and these titles that when it's taken away, they don't know how to react. That's why when you have a breakup, you so tied up into this man, right?
mhm,
That you so tied up to being a wife or a girlfriend or a partner that when you're no longer that, you don't know how to function. And
mhm,
so it's funny because the person at that time said, I'm gonna have to think about it. And the next time I spoke to her, she said, I was thinking about that question you asked me. She said, and I really am still thinking about it. She said, because I realized I don't know who I am. Like I'm trying to remember what I like to do, right? Because for 20
mhm,
years she's been in this role, in this title. She's a mom, she's a wife, right? And she said, so I just started thinking about what are the things that I like to do.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so I think that was so great because for you, when you got to that point of when you got to that point of I'm laid off. Like
Mhm.
I literally remember you telling us, and the next week you were like, "Yeah, I'm going away."
Yeah, I think I went out of the country. I went somewhere. He was like, "You going?" I was like, "Well," I was
Yeah.
like, "Well, what am I supposed to do?" Like it was already planned. I I paid for it. Um,
Mhm.
I might have to adjust my spending a little bit, but
Yeah, but you didn't break. Like I remember, like you. Next thing I know, you was like, "Oh, I'm gonna be a substitute teacher." I was like, "Okay, right."
Yep.
So talk about that. Like, how not to say that it was easy, but do you feel like as time went on, as you've matured, you've
Mhm.
come to know who you are outside of all the titles that we carry, like, your mother, your grandmother,
Mhm.
you sit on boards, right?
Mhm.
So you're a praise dancer, you're like all of that stuff. So
Mhm.
outside of all of those titles, do you feel like it was easier, or it made it a little easier because you've come to embrace who you are?
Yeah, I do, because outside of all of that, the core of me is Regina, just sitting and chilling. And you guys know I love to walk. So I would
Mm-hmm.
say I connect to nature.
Mm.
So in my most happiest place is to be in nature, to be on a beach, to be in the mountains, to take peaceful walks.
Mm.
Anything that's holistic, that's me. That's
Okay.
the core of me. So, and that's a quiet and peaceful place. It's even, listening to my jazz, and it's
Yeah.
a long time by myself, whatever it is, but it's connected to nature.
And so it's really you found peace.
Hmm. Peace within nature. Like
Yeah.
some people might have peace within sports or whatever
Yep.
that is, but my peace is within nature. And the most peaceful time is when I'm walking and looking at God's creation. That is my
Mm.
most peaceful. If you want to say, what is Regina about? She is a walker and loves to walk in the nature of God's country.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, and I think that's so important because, like, for me, I think, like you said, right?
Hmm.
We've been through valleys, right? Whether it's
Hmm.
relationships,
Hmm.
work relationships, personal relationships, intimate relationships, friendships, whatever. But I think, as I've matured,
Hmm.
right,
Hmm.
I've come to realize, like, who I
Hmm.
am because who I was created to be,
Right.
right? And
Hmm.
so when I trust in that I am
Hmm.
the daughter of a king, right?
Hmm.
Like my heavenly father,
Hmm.
I yes, we have earthly parents, but when you really truly begin to trust that no
Hmm.
matter what happens, God already got you.
Hmm.
That everything might not look good right now, it might not be perfect. You
Hmm.
might be going through some stuff, you might be in, like you said, in the valley, but it's
Hmm.
those valley moments when he's like, you know what, do you believe I got you?
Hmm.
And so how you go through those valley moments, I believe, is indicative of how you come out on the other
Hmm.
side,
Right.
right?
Yeah. And that's
So
true. I
yeah,
mean, I probably forgot to mention that foremost is my father. That's the core of me.
yeah.
But from that is I connect to the nature. But it's sometimes, a lot of times when I walk, I don't put on any music. I'm
Mm-mm.
just walking and looking around and listening for God to speak to me.
Yeah.
Like, what's my next move, or what, or whatever my mind is. But that's just peaceful time for me.
Yeah, I remember going to the Grand Canyon and standing there. First of all, looking at all the people that were brave enough to go down on a little donkey
Hmm.
with no rails or nothing. So I was like, okay, not doing that. But
Hmm.
but just looking out and saying, I can't imagine how anyone does not believe in a higher power.
Hmm.
Because that when you look at the Grand Canyon, that is not man made.
Hmm.
Right? Like that is not something that man created,
Hmm.
right? And so it's so funny because I really feel like, joke around a lot about being Gen X, and sometimes I'm like, am I Gen X? Am I baby boomer? Like, does it transition as you get older? I don't know. But I think there's a freedom that comes with going through the valley, and like you've mentioned it, right?
Mhm.
We've done therapy. You've done therapy. I've done therapy. Our other co-hosts have done some form of therapy or
Mhm.
coaching, right? We've all done that. That's how we all got connected, right? Through
Mhm.
Coach Trey Kearney. Um, but I feel like, part of it is we got to a point where, at least for me, I'm not really looking for anyone else's approval.
Mhm.
It's like I got to a point where I totally have, because I used to run around saying, "Oh, I'm so authentic," right? And not that
Mhm.
I wasn't, but I
Mhm.
realized even in that authenticity, I still had a mass up, right?
Mhm.
And it wasn't until something almost broke me, and I hit a rough patch and depression and all of that, that I realized that going through therapy and really healing, where the focus is on you,
Mhm.
sets you up in a way where when you focus on you and your part in your story, because I think the other thing people forget is the choices we make
Mhm.
sometimes puts us in the positions that we end up in, right?
Right.
And so there's some stuff we have no control over, but there's
Mhm.
some stuff that we made some choices. We chose not to let go when God said let go. We
Mhm.
chose to go left when God said go right. We
Mhm.
chose to stay with that dude when God was like, he ain't the one,
Mhm.
right? And and I feel like, now it's like, wait a minute, there's a joy in knowing who I am,
Mhm.
right? There's a joy in knowing, like you said, everything may not be perfect,
Mhm.
but you trust that everything will work out.
Yeah, it's it when God starts to break you, and I remember when the very is probably one, but one that stood out in the very beginning when I started, when he broke me. I was ministering at church, and we had finished ministering, and I guess after that, then the choir was singing a song, and I was like, and I was behind one of my sisters in this, and I don't think I ever heard this song before, but I just kind of uh, leaped out like a cry, or not a cry. It was weird, and she looked at me, and I said, "Oh, I'm sorry," but I said, "Well, that song hit me," and the next thing I know, I was on the ground, and
Mhm.
it was my ministry was behind me. There was deacons over me. There was all these people over me. I got up, not knowing what had happened to me, but God had broke me,
Mhm.
and from that point, things just started happening, and it's
Mhm.
one thing, like you said, when God breaks you, and that was kind of like, it was like, the break is, I was surrendering because I couldn't do it anymore, and I was trying to do everything with a little bit of God and a lot of me. And so
Mhm. Yeah.
I had to surrender it all to God and know that He was the one. And that was with my marriage. And because I was still trying to fix it. I was like, okay,
Oh,
God, what
wow.
you do? Then I come in and try to fix something. Or even my kids, they were like, oh, the God I'm giving to you. Now I go try to fix it myself.
Mm.
And then I guess he said, girl, I'm good. You ain't you.
But tell people what your ministry is. So your ministry is dance. You do what is it? Prophetic dancing or praise
Yeah,
dance?
I started with liturgicals, because liturgical is dance through the scriptures.
Okay.
Prophetic is dance through hearing God's voice, and
Mm.
or tapping into the prophetic. And the musicians, it's everyone. It's a like a wave, and if you prophetic, you'll catch it.
Mm.
And you feed off the musicians, you feed off the psalmists might feed off of you. It's a whole, and you tell you it's a painting, and you paint the story that God's
Mhm.
trying to tell, or
Yeah.
he wants you to tell. And
Yeah.
so it's a whole deep thing that actually we're graduating from. Wow. So I've come from scripture to liturgical to prophetic, and I still don't have it down packed, but and it's a scary thing because sometimes when I get into it and I get
Mhm.
that, it's a work in progress because
Wow.
when God is telling me to do something, I still resist, and I'm just being
Mm.
honest. I
Yeah,
still
no, that's
resist,
it.
and I know one time through ministry, He had me connect with this woman, and I lay hands on her. I never in my life lay hands on anybody. And
Mhm.
I was resisting it so bad to the point that he forced it. And when I
Okay.
came out of it, I was like, I don't know what I just did. I do not do so. I was like, but
But you know,
the girl was she, and we developed a relationship because it was what, and I know I'm connected to what for whatever reason, and that was
yeah.
at the very beginning when I tapped into it, and I told them I don't want to do that no more. And I
And he said, "Okay, fine, but you will do it again."
yes,
Right?
and
But
so a lot of times,
yeah,
even in my leadership, she goes, "You just so resist it." Everyone's they always, whenever someone prays over me, a prophet, less a real, they'll say that come out of
like they feel the resistance.
they'll tell me come out of God has something for you.
Mhm.
That point, that was so deep for me that when it happened, I was like, "Oh," like I was just
So
like,
look, Sheila said, "Thanks for explaining the different dance types. I'm only used to hearing about liturgical dancing."
"Oh yeah, it's different." Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny. So, if you're tuning in, this is the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network, and tonight we're talking about seasoned and fabulous, the power of becoming. And truly, I put Regina on the
Sure
hot
did.
seat, because this is her brand, and I just thought it would be great to talk about it because tonight it's just two of us. Our other co-hosts are out doing other things, and they'll be back. But I do want to say also, we are believers. So you are going
Yes.
to hear us say God, and we're going to make that reference, and that is who we are. But I do want to say that we share who we
Mhm.
are and what we believe in. And it's funny because I just heard this individual say something that I'm going to say here is maybe you replace God with another word, right? A different higher power. But whatever it is that you seek, or who universe, whatever it is that you identify with, know that this message is also for you, right?
Mhm.
Don't get distracted by the words that we're using, because
Mhm.
that's who we are, right? That's
Mhm.
that's who we are in our core. So
Mhm.
don't let the references that we use distract you,
Mhm.
because this message is still, I would say, important and relevant to you, because Regina has basically shared how through her valley moments, through her moments of God trying to break her and to build her back up, there's still some resistance. But when you keep moving forward,
Mhm.
right, you tend to realize that, whether, because it's funny because we're what I'm approaching 60, you're in your 60s, right? And it's funny how I hear younger people like, oh, they're already telling themselves they can't do stuff, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, you got so much time ahead of you. And I'm looking at you, who in your late 50s, early 60s, mid 60s have, done so much. And we're gonna now shift in this last few minutes that we have to talk about your book, because that's another thing that you did. Like I wrote my first one, what, in my 50s. I would
Mhm.
have never thought that would happen, right?
Yeah.
And here you are in your 60s. So if you're listening, the one thing we want you to hear is, it is never too late.
Yes. Never.
to do the things that you want to do. Now there's some intention that has to be
Yeah.
behind it, right? But it's never too late. So talk to us about your book.
Well, my book is dang. It's a journal speaking about self-care, and
Mm,
which goes along with When Wisdom Speaks, a self-care journal for women 50 and older or plus. Same difference. But
mm,
in doing that and writing it, I was like, well, dang, it does really, in a way, I kind of wish I didn't put that on it because it could speak to everyone. But then
mhm.
it is what it is, and that's who my core, that's who my target is. So I targeted it. But I
Yeah.
do say if anyone buy it, but you can use, because it's women out there, and it could be related to men. Because
Yep.
over the summer, I mean over Christmas, I went to spend time with my mom and my two brothers, so I gifted them the book. And my brother that's younger than me, he said, well, this is it for men? Can men get something out of this? And then he started reading it and he said, huh, some of this applies to me.
Yeah. I mean,
So,
I think it's always important for people to understand that although we have target audiences that we
mhm,
are focused on, like this show, like this
mhm,
network is focused on Gen X, right? But the messages are relatable to any age.
anyone. And to tell you the truth, I'm not a Gen X. I'm a baby boomer. So
Okay.
I'm at the tail end of it.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I'm still uh,
Yeah.
probably 2 or 3 years before the cutoff, something like that. But um, yeah, so that's what I did the book, and it basically I kind of did it from where what I did to
Mm,
take self-care for myself.
yeah.
But and like I broke it down earlier, you gotta love yourself, and you gotta give yourself grace, and you gotta take your power back. And that's basically what happened with me.
Mm,
And taking your power back doesn't mean that you're some weak person that just got lost. Taking your power back is basically finding out who you are.
yep. That
Because like you
identity.
said, you having all these roles, you did this, you that, you that, you that. Who are you? We know that we're first and most a daughter of God. That's the
Yep.
first thing that we are. But from that, God has given everyone a purpose. What is your purpose?
Mm-hmm.
And that doesn't mean your title. Your purpose is what are you to bring to the kingdom? You know?
Yep.
So that's who you are.
Yep. As Trey Kearney would say, and hopefully I'll say it the way she says it, is
I
your
know.
purpose is to
Serve the
serve the people
people.
that God's assigned to you using
Thank you.
your
To
experiences, your talents, and your gifts.
thank you. Yes, yeah.
Right?
We got it halfway right. I think that's
Yeah.
it. But it's the truth
We got
because
it. But basically, we are called to use
serve the
our
people that you're assigned to. Yeah.
yeah.
With your gifts and
We're
talents.
called to use our experiences. And
Hmm.
so that's why we don't have a problem getting on here talking about the fact that we went through therapy. We don't
Hmm.
have a problem talking about the fact that we lost jobs
Hmm.
or didn't get a position, right? We don't have a problem talking about we manage our finances, but we don't do it in the best that we're still learning how to do it correctly, right?
Exactly. Hmm.
And part of that is because we want other women and men to know, listen, this journey that we on is a journey. Like
Hmm.
a lot of the, I think for all of us, even when Sheila's here, when Gina's here, when Netta's here, we will all say, right? We're all still working. Like I tell people all the time, right? Healing is a choice. I believe healing is a choice, but I also believe that because we're always healing from something,
Hmm.
right? And so when you make that choice to heal, it's your responsibility. Like I said this recently to someone, we are responsible for our own healing.
Right.
Nobody else is responsible for us healing. And so if you are content with staying in that space of woe is me, look what they did to me, oh my God, you're not going to be able to move forward, right? And the journey might take you a little bit of time, but if you really are intentional about doing it, what happens on the other side of that journey, oh my God, it is amazing. And like, yep, this is it. Like Sheila said, I'm a work in progress every single
day.
day.
Absolutely.
Every single day. So
yeah, so that, we're constantly changing, we're constantly evolving, so it's always something.
yeah.
But you just have to learn how to channel whatever it is in the right way.
Yeah. And you have to learn how to control what you can control
Exactly.
and let go of what you can't control.
Right.
And you also have to know when to look what Sheila said. That's it. Ain't nobody got time for being stuck. That's it. That's it.
Yeah.
That's it right there. But that's the thing. Ain't nobody got time for being stuck. And ain't nobody got time for feeling sorry for themselves. Yeah. Be there for a minute, but don't stay there.
Yeah, that's all. You have your pity party, but then get up and keep it moving.
Yeah, don't marinate in it.
Yeah, because that's just going to cause more damage. Because then you start thinking and spiraling out, and all kind of craziness come in your mind, and the devil get to working, and everything ain't the devil too.
Yeah, so, exactly.
But your mind goes spiraling out somewhere.
Yeah. But it's also having your tribe, right? Having the people in your, like, and I think we talked about this last week or the week before, right? Like, who's at your table, right? It's knowing the people that are going to be there, that are going to support you, that are going to hold you accountable. Like, I'm never going to tell anybody to get over it, right? Because grieving takes its own toll, and you got to do it in your own pace, right? But you have to be intentional about healing, right? And taking responsibility for your healing. But I will tell you that, the journey, like I look at your journey and I'm like, wow, man, like I always go back to when you told us you got laid off, how you were like, okay, it happened. And I know it was rough, but I know the one thing you did is you sat back and you thought about, what do I need to do, right? The intention. What do I need to do to navigate through this system? And you made the decision that you weren't going to look for another job.
Yep.
You was like, I'm going to do some substitute teaching because that gives me the flexibility to work when I want to work. And then you started focusing on building your business out, building your brand out. And then you wrote the book, which I still got to come get my book.
I know. I thought about it today. I said, I should just drop this. But I had my grandbaby. And she stayed, and then she went to sleep. The time I said, I should go see Theo. And then she was asleep. I was like, well, that's the end of that.
but I love what Sheila said. Like, honestly, like, ain't nobody got time for being stuck.
Yeah.
Right? Like you really and truly, if you don't hear anything else from us, hear this. It is never too late.
And I still have things to do. I said, God, I said, I feel like I'm being more successful in my latter years. Like, God, like, why this didn't happen earlier? But that's part of what my journey is, to let people know, because some people could not survive what I went through.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's hard, but for someone else, it could be hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Some people, and I tell you, like, honestly, that's why one of the first areas I like to work with my clients on is identity.
Mm-hmm.
Because I tell you, when you are so tied to a title, which I mean, and this is a true story. Like, remember when I moved down here, right?
Mm-hmm.
I was still working in an executive role. I was
Mm-hmm.
chief human resources officer for a company in New York City. I came down here. I was working remote. I was still going back and forth. And then I was like, you know what? I want to focus on growing my business.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember when I was telling one of my friends, the older friend, that I was going to resign, and then I was going to look for a position down here as an individual contributor. And if anyone wants to know what an individual contributor is, that means that I decided that I no longer wanted to be in a role where I had the responsibility of leading anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
I did not want to manage anyone. I did not want to be a leader. I just wanted to be able to go to work, do my job, and that's it.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, "Oh, you're gonna," and that's when I knew that the work that I was doing during my healing journey
Mm-hmm.
was working,
Mm-hmm.
because I no longer needed to stay in that job to be able to say that I was an executive.
Mm-hmm.
I was like, been there, done that. It's
Mm-hmm.
okay. It's a title.
Mm-hmm. And I learned that early on. I wasn't that's when I was a lead in retail, when I was store
Mhm.
manager, da da da. I did that for like 20 years. And then when I switched over to corporate America, nope. I do not want to lead people
Mhm.
ever in my life again.
Mhm. It's a,
It was
and
just
it's
like
like,
a babysitting job. And then you went from the people to you kind of middleman, and then you had upper management. I'm like,
yeah,
or if you were upper management, it's always somebody over you.
yeah,
So one thing I did say I want to do, I said, I'll lead a project.
yeah.
I said I could be I'll
I
lead a
did,
project.
yeah,
But even with that, but then you're working with a team. It's a little
yeah.
different. I said, but not
But
people.
but that's the thing. People, it's funny when people are like, oh, they want to be leaders, and I'm like, and I will say this, and I'm gonna say it, and honestly, I've come a long way, because a while ago I wouldn't have said this, and this is part of the healing too. I'm an excellent leader.
Mm-hmm.
Individuals that have reported to me still reach out to me. Like, I still have relationships with them.
Mm-hmm.
They still call me for advice and guidance and all of that, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it doesn't mean that I wasn't good at it. It just meant that, you know what?
Mm-hmm.
I was no longer defined by this title,
Mm-hmm.
that I felt like I needed to stay in this role,
Mm-hmm.
right? Now people are like, what are you? I'm an HR professional. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Point
And
blank.
that, yeah, that's
Point
how it
blank.
was. Yeah, that's how it was with me. Like some of my people, I remember one incident. I worked, this what's it called? This up in off of 78, that mall, Short Hills, Short
Oh,
Hill
sure.
Mall.
Yeah. Okay.
So
The fancy
yeah,
mall.
so I was a manager there in like a really uppity class
Mhm.
stores, Talbot's, which is, if you
Yeah.
know
Well,
what
you
that
know that Short Hills was
is.
the bougie mall.
Yeah, so but that store, it was a certain type of woman that came in that store.
Yeah.
Mostly sophisticated,
Mhm.
older, classy, that type of
Yeah.
woman. So some of the ladies that work there were kind of those type, because they didn't have to work, they would come. Then we would have managers, we had employees and regular employees, not well, I mean just employees. But the thing about it is, if we ask, especially the stock guys, I would say, hey guys, we got a shipment coming in, can you work? They would look at me, you gonna be here? I say, no, this manager, nope, I can't do it. I'm like, come on, please, guys. Nope, you're not gonna be here.
And
And
that's the
oh
crazy thing,
yeah,
right?
because they say you respect us, you don't talk down to us, you don't
Yeah.
do.
That's
And
it.
that was one thing with management. And a friend of mine taught me that when I first got in it, they said, do not ask your people to do something that you
You
wouldn't
went
do.
exactly.
And that's what the other managers would do. They would talk down to them. And I said, they're humans just like us. Don't ask. And they know I would get, if we had to get something done, or we had to do the floor set, or I needed the guys to help me with something, I would get in that stock room just like, and have the heels on, everything, and cute, and the makeup and this and
Yeah,
that. But it
exactly.
needed to get done because
Exactly.
I was a store manager. I mean, I ran a $6 million store. I couldn't look up to my, and like, why the sales down? Where's your stock?
Exactly.
Well, you know where.
But I tell you, I had teams that would do anything for me. But like, just getting back to that, you hear both of us saying that we were able to shift because we weren't so tied to a title. So you know, as we wrap up this show, you've been listening to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We've been talking about being seasoned and fabulous, which basically means that there is a power in becoming, because it's never too late for you to go after your goals. And so I will say, I'm gonna give my final remark, and then I'm gonna have Regina give her final remark and tell you guys where you could buy her book. But honestly, the one thing I would say is you need to get really clear on knowing yourself.
Yes, exactly.
Who you are, what makes you tick, who you are at your core, not a title. Because as a mother, when your kids are gone and then you got an empty nest, what you gonna do? Right? As a professional, whether you're a leader or not, whatever role you're in, line person to leadership, when they say to you, we're sorry, we no longer need your services, how are you gonna move forward from that? Right? And so there is power in getting to know yourself. Who are you at your core? Right. And so, Regina, your final thoughts?
My final words were, through my experiences, like Theo said, I piggyback off that. Getting to know who you are at your core. If you are if you're working still in corporate America or anything, retail, whatever, don't let them define you, because at any minute they can let you go. Start finding out who you are, what you want to be, what your purpose is, and develop a roadmap. So when they let you go, I got my plan.
Yeah.
And that'll keep you that'll keep your sanity. And I'm saying it's not going to be easy, but if you know who you are, and these companies can let you go at the blink of a dime, or at any time they let you go and they think no more about it, because it's no harm. It's just business. That's just how it is.
And it's not personal.
It's not personal. It's business.
It's not
And
personal.
you handle your business. So your business is your business, and that's your brand.
Yeah. And then I'm going to give y'all Sheila's final word, which is
ain't nobody got time.
Ain't nobody got time for being stuck.
Yeah.
All right. So that's from our co-host Sheila, who is with us in the chat tonight.
Yes, thank you, Sheila, for being here.
Yeah. But it's true. Ain't nobody got time for being stuck. Because you know what? There's no reason for you to be stuck.
Absolutely.
There's no reason for you to be stuck. Right. And so thank you for tuning in to the Woman to Woman show on the New You Nation Network. We are here every Monday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you have not already subscribed to the network, please subscribe to the network. Please like and share, and meet us back here again next Monday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we never know what we're talking about until a couple of hours before the show. But it's always going to be a rich conversation. So you don't want to miss it. And if you're catching us on a replay, thank you for tuning in. And just like I said, remember to like, share, and subscribe. Have a great night and a wonderful rest of the week.
Amen. And ain't nobody got time to be stuck.
Exactly. Good night.
Good night.